touch this. You can't touch this. You can't touch this.
The Girl in a Spider's Web is a new film directed by Fede Alvarez, and this is a soft reboot slash sequel of the first film in the American version, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And this is the third person who is playing the Lisbeth Salander, and this being played by Claire Foy. And someone from her past comes back to haunt her, and this person from her past is trying to start a nuclear attack onto the world, and she has to prevent a nuclear attack that could save the whole entire world. And that's the plot of this film. In my review of First Man, I praised Claire Foy's performance because that was the first time I actually saw Claire Foy in a film. And then I was really going into this film with a little bit of anticipation because I love David Fincher's film, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and I also like the first version, the Swedish version of the films. For this one, Sony was trying to make a sequel to the first 2011 version, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. They were having a problem with the script. They didn't get a lot of money with the first film, so they decided to do a softcore reboot and skip like the books, 2 of the books, and go straight to book 4 and do a film that's not exactly like book 4. It's an original story created by his own writers. This film is disappointing, and this film is definitely weak if you compare it to the other films. And it's really hard not to compare this film to the other films. If you've seen the other films and you want going into this film, you'll feel different. You know, I've seen the other films, and going to this film, I felt different. I just didn't feel the same. I didn't have the same experience when I saw the first other films, because the other films, you know, they were dark, they were depressing, it makes you feel some type of way, your heart starts to turn a little bit. But for this film, I didn't feel different. I just felt reserved and just felt like this was just not much of a emotional thriller. It was more of a action film with the main character trying to become the next James Bond or Jane Bond. But there were some moments in this film where it does feel like it's rated R. It was just clean. The movie felt clean. There wasn't a moment where the film took a dark turn and I'm just like, okay, they're missing something. I feel like this movie was more of a Hollywood film and just to give the audience an action film, because this character is being played by Claire Foy is a super spy. As for Claire Foy's performance as Lisbeth Salander, she did a decent job of her performance. She didn't really give out an outstanding performance, but it's really hard not to compare her performance to the other actresses that played the character, and she is definitely the weakest one. Outside the main character, Lisbeth Salander, there wasn't really a character you can really gravitate to. The guy who played Michael Blumskis was just an unnecessary character. I feel like he was just there to be there. He didn't really have no purpose to the actual story itself. And this character was played by Daniel Craig in the last film, and Daniel Craig had a better performance. And for this guy, I don't really feel anything with his performance. On a technical standpoint, there's nothing in this film that stood out. There was a lot of shaky cam in the action sequences, and it's really hard to like follow who was throwing the punch, who was throwing the first punch, who threw the last punch, because there's just so much going on with the camera shaking. The villain in this film is someone from Lisbeth Salander's past, and she was just a basic, pale, weak villain that I just cannot gravitate towards. She was barely in the movie itself. She only had like 3 or 4 scenes in the entirety of the movie, but yet she's the main villain. This has no taste value. It's like eating Raisin Bran. It's like eating Raisin Bran with no milk. It's just terrible taste. This film definitely feels like a James Bond film. Even the introduction of the film definitely was James Bond-esque. When I was watching this movie, I just felt like everything was happening. It's like a drive-by. You see a car just driving by, and you just say, yeah, I see that car driving by. I gotta give The Girl in the Spider's Web a Val Kilmer Batman. This is definitely a forgettable film. There's another scene where Elizabeth Salander is like riding on ice with a motorcycle, and you can see the tire treads perfectly in the ice. I'm like, that don't make sense. But it's not as bad as Fast and Furious, where they had a submarine and and cars driving on ice. It's not as bad as that, but still, it's just really plausible. Have you seen Spider-Girl in the Spider's Web? What are your thoughts on it? Give me your thoughts, comment below, and let's talk about it. If you like everything you see and you agree, click right here, join me in the Batman family. I will have more Batman-tastic reviews in the way. You have been warned. Till then, ciao.